What's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is Three Buck Theater, and we just got some insane news coming in from the Hollywood Reporter in regards to the future of Spider-Man 3 and the fact that even though the Sony deal only says like one more main Spider-Man movie and then a couple more appearances, and then of course it's going to be over. Yeah, no, that's not going to be happening. That's not going to be happening at all. Why? Because we're learning today through the Hollywood Reporter, especially Boris Kitt, who's got a lot of cred. Let's be fair. He's got a lot of cred. Benedict Cumberbatch is joining Spider-Man 3 as Doctor Strange. And this news is actually really cool because, for one, it's been 4 years since we got Doctor Strange, and we're not going to get the next movie for a while, but I'm going to talk about that here in a second. So this is one where I'm like, yeah, cool, man. Let's get more Doctor Strange here. So this is what he's saying here. All right. Benedict Cumberbatch is putting on the cloak of levitation and will reprise Marvel superhero Doctor Strange for the latest Spider-Man movie installment starring Tom Holland and being made by both Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures. Now, this move puts Cumberbatch in the mentor role that was previously occupied by Robert Downey Jr., who played Tony Stark, and by Sam Jackson in Spider-Man Far From Home, which is kind of a weird thing because it wasn't Sam Jackson in the movie. It was Talos. So it's not really like, and he wasn't even really a mentor in the movie. He was more of like a pain in the ass. Wasn't really a mentor character at all, which actually makes a lot of sense that it was Talos, because even watching Far From Home for the first time, I'm like, man, it feels like Sam Jackson just doesn't want to be here. It just feels like Sam Jackson doesn't care about any of this at all, and that this is simply just a paycheck. And it turns out that it's because it wasn't actually Sam Jackson. So this is a little bit of an odd reporting line there, Boris Kitt. I feel like you're not up to date on your MCU knowledge, but that's just me. Anyway, but it goes on to say here that this role gives Holland a chance to play opposite seasoned actors and give him a father figure, which could be both good and bad depending on how you look at it. Let me explain. So one of the major complaints about Tom Holland's Spider-Man is that it doesn't feel like he's Peter Parker and Spider-Man, but he feels more like Iron Man Jr. And a lot of people have had a lot of issue with that. They've thought that this is not the best way to go about it, that this isn't like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man or even the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, that this is just Iron Man Jr. But the truth of the matter is that actually worked out really well, because having Peter Parker play Iron Man Jr. or be a mentee to Tony Stark and having that father-son dynamic opened up Tony Stark's heart and got him thinking about his own lineage and having kids. And as a result of that, Morgan Stark came into the fray because he missed Peter Parker. And he even chose to go and do the time travel heist, ultimately leading to his own death because he wanted to save Peter Parker. All right. It wasn't just saving everybody. He wanted to save Peter. That was the key. That was a father sacrificing his life for his son, so to speak. That's one of the reasons why I do think Endgame was way better than some people give it credit for in regards to the dynamic between fathers and sons. And that's something we don't get to see play out quite a bit. It's not as good as, let's say, Clark Kent and Superman in Man of Steel, which I thought was a better dynamic, but still there was a lot of emotional resonance there. That being said, it does go on to say that this gives them the ability to steer greater into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, it also goes on to say here that the Spider-Man project already has some unexpected ties, bringing back Jamie Foxx as Electro. And yeah, that's going to be a big thing, right? Now, it does say here that having Strange as part of the Spider-Man movie may help explain the returning Electro. Cumberbatch is about to begin shooting the Doctor Strange sequel, which will explore the alternate realities, and some speculate will therein lies a cross-section. Where I believe WandaVision is going to open the door for this, and I believe that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is going to then really work within that, because we know that Scarlet Witch is going to primarily be like the main antagonist in that movie, and then opening the door up to the multiverse to lead into, let's say, Electro should be interesting. Now, Spider-Man 3 is due to begin shooting in Atlanta this month. They're just wrapping up Uncharted in Germany, and Tom Holland is immediately then going to fly over to Atlanta to go start working on Spider-Man 3. But Multiverse of Madness is set to start filming not this month as well, but next month, according to another article I read. And but it's unsure exactly when Cumberbatch will shoot his scenes. If they're not going to start shooting Multiverse of Madness until next month in London, then it's entirely possible that he'll shoot his scenes in Atlanta now and then be done with it. Like, I'm pretty sure Disney has been making many different volumes, like the stagecraft technology for The Mandalorian. I have a feeling there's going to be a number of those locations in different parts of the country and the world, like LA, Atlanta, maybe New York, London, and a few other places. So I have a feeling they're going to be able to make it work in a number of different ways. But right now, also, Marvel and Sony have no comment on this one. And of course, why would they? Why would they have any comment on it whatsoever? It doesn't make any sense for them to even comment on it because they don't want to spoil the surprise. But this is Hollywood Reporter. This isn't We Got This Covered. This isn't any one of those other sites. So this is a bit more reliable, I believe. But here's why this is cool. So for one, like, I have been complaining a lot about the DC multiverse because I do kind of feel that it's kind of hackneyed and ham-fisted, and it's a bit of a stretch. And I kind of feel the same way about this. But that being said, if they explain it in a way that is palatable to the core audience of people, i.e. not comic book readers, because let's be realistic here, most people who enjoy superhero films don't actually read the comics. They don't actually read the comics at all. We know this because comic book stores have been dying left and right. DC Comics has been merging, is going through different publishers. Marvel is still doing okay, but the numbers are still dropping and it's not growing. It's not growing. So clearly people don't read the comics. And so the comics don't matter as much to, let's say, the random person in, I don't know, Oklahoma, that's not going to care or know what the multiverse is and where its origins are. And so they're going to have to play it very mainstream. And I think Marvel would be good at homogenizing it and making it more palatable to the audience versus, let's say, DC, which I just kind of feel at this point is just literally throwing everything against the wall to see what sticks. And that is oftentimes the difference between the two companies. Feige has a plan. Feige goes forward with these plans. And then in this particular case with Sony, Sony wants to expand its Sony Pictures Marvel movies, whatever it's called, the SPMUC, whatever the hell it is, right? Like, it's Sony Pictures Marvel Universe of Characters. I forget. It doesn't even matter. It's the stupidest name on the planet. But they want to expand that out. Morbius, Venom, all that stuff. They want to expand all of that out. And they probably want to go into the multiverse because of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And I know they're talking about a Madam Web project or something similar to that. Everything that's going to be tying into the multiverse of Spider-Man is something that Sony's going to want to explore because they don't want to lose out on money. And they realize that Marvel is a good money-making machine. And that just makes the most amount of sense in the world to play that up, to keep expanding on those core stories, because that's going to make them the most amount of money. DC, on the other hand, is like, hey, did you like that one weird character in an episode of Swamp Thing that nobody watched? Well, he's going to be in this other thing over here that's not even remotely connected, but multiverse. And that's how I interpret it. And yeah, I'm more of a Marvel guy than a DC guy in this particular case. But anyway, that's how I view it. I do want to see what they do with this. I want to see how it all plays out. I think it's going to be interesting. And again, I will go see anything DC or Marvel related, and I'll always go in with an open mind, and keep my expectations relatively low in order to be blown away on things that I'm not too curious about. I wasn't too sure how Guardians of the Galaxy was going to do until I saw it. And then I watched it about 25 more times in theaters because I worked at one and it was free, and I still love that movie to this day. So anything can happen. I'm willing to be wowed. I'm 100% wanting to be wowed. And I think right now, given the state of Hollywood, we need a little bit of wow factor. And this story, to me, has it. So I'm very curious to know your guys' thoughts on this one, your guys' opinions. Let me know down in the comment section what you guys have to say about this. I'm very curious to know your thoughts. And with any luck, we're going to be getting a kick-ass Spider-Man movie that I'm sure people are going to find ways to complain about by saying, oh, it's just another mentor thing. It's just another Iron Man. Why can't Peter stand on his own? Keep in mind, the dude's still in high school, and from what the rumor is, there's going to be like 2 more trilogies after the fact. It's going to be Peter Parker in high school, Peter Parker in college, and Peter Parker as an adult. And Sony wants Tom Holland around for the long haul. Like, they're not moving away from Tom Holland or anything like that. So they want to keep building and building and building in order to keep this stuff around for a while. And it just seems to make the most amount of sense. But that being said, I want to hear your thoughts. If you made it this far, do me a solid and type... let's say sling ring in the chat. There we go. Sling ring in the chat. If you guys made it this far in the video, I appreciate it. I'll talk to you all later. Have yourself a great day. Thank you again for watching, and peace out.